So everybody knows Dale Earnhardt. You know who he is. You know he's a big deal and everything. But I really want to put something into perspective that I don't think a lot of people think about and really spell out why he's such a great role model. And that is, we'll start with this, all right? So he was 49 years old when he died. That was 2001. 49. He started as a top-level cup driver. So he had a 20-year period where he was at the top level of racing. Just 20 years. That's it. And, you know, passing away at 49, he wasn't that old either. And still today, it's 20 years after he died, he's still a big deal. How does that happen? That would be like the equivalent of, association aside, Kevin Harvick. He's been racing in the Cup Series since 2001. It's now 2020, so he's been there 19 years. In that amount of time, Dale Earnhardt went from some random guy to total superstar. Like, that's not a very long time. And to think that that was only half of his lifetime too. For a guy who was 49 years old to race at a professional level for only 20 years and leave a legacy like he did is just insane. Like, he's 20 years ago, that was the last time he did anything. 2001. He has not had a physical presence on this earth in 20 years, and he's still a big deal. He's still inspiring people. He's still a motivational story. Like, that is why I like him so much. It's crazy to think how a guy who was only in, you know, the public eye for 20 years could leave such an impact on the world, even after his death. He's been gone just as long as he was a professional driver, and he's still relevant today. Beyond his accomplishments driving on the track, I really admire Dale and place him as a role model character for my own life because of the things he did off the track. And you might say, oh, well, he was a terrible father, blah, 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 all this stuff. And you may be correct about the time, but that doesn't mean that he didn't change later on, because he did. Now, I do a lot of listening to Dale Jr.'s podcast for the sole reason to hear the stories from the guys, you know, back in the day who used to deal with Dale Sr. That's the closest thing that we will ever have to Dale Sr. himself having a podcast where he explains why he did the things he did and all that stuff. There was a specific part, I can't remember who the guy was, but he used to be like Dale's Wrangler manager or something, that became his manager later on. He said, this particular guy said that he had a kid, and it was in like 1998 or something. They were flying back to the track, and Dale would, you know, usually sleep on the plane or something like that. But that particular time, out of nowhere, he told this guy, he said something like, you know, enjoy your family, spend time with them. I didn't do that and I regret it, or something along those lines. So to me, that speaks greater volumes about the guy than the fact that he messed up in the first place, because he messed up and he owned it. And not only did he own it, but he used his own mistakes as a pathway, an example to prevent other people from doing the same thing. He owns his last name. It doesn't matter if you're related to him or not. If your last name's Earnhardt, people are going to ask if you're related to Dale. And for me personally, I think that's really freaking cool, because that just shows, I mean, Earnhardt's a pretty uncommon last name, but if you can be on this earth for 49 years and leave a lasting impact so that almost nobody with your last name will ever surpass that, like, dude, that's insane. I actually use my bed sheet back there, I'll show you a picture, is actually the same Dale Earnhardt comforter that I used in like 3rd grade. Like, because I was, you know, when I was putting stuff in my trailer last year, I was going through the closet and I found that, and I'm like, oh, this is going in my trailer. And not just because, like, do it for Dale and all that stuff, but because every time I see that, I remember what this all is about. And if we can learn anything from Dale, it's that our names live on far longer than our actual physical time does. Like, long after we die, our names have the power to inspire and motivate and influence the lives of generations to come, and we don't even have to be there. I mean, it's kind of morbid to think about, but everybody knows somebody that they went to high school or grew up with, and they, you know, got in a car accident or something, and they pass away, and it's pretty much just like a 48-hour news cycle obituary link on Facebook. And I think about this a lot. Is that, do you want to be a 48-hour news cycle obituary link on Facebook? Or do you want to be Dale freaking Earnhardt and have people talking about you and being inspired by you 20 years after you're gone? Half your lifetime has passed since you were even around, and you're still making an impact. I think that's something that anybody should strive to do. Anybody can do. You don't have to be a professional race car driver to do it. I admire Dale beyond what he did on the track. I mean, that's cool. That's why I liked him when I was little. But as time has gone on and I've started to, like, you know, unpack who the guy was, it's just insane. And on top of that, he's a business role model too. Like, he was like the first guy to ever trademark his own name. He really pioneered the merchandising in NASCAR. Like, he owned it. The dude was so much smarter than anyone really knew about, and probably a lot smarter than any of us will ever know, because he's not here to talk about it. Like, you know, the man was an iceberg. We're never gonna know what went on below surface level in the creative business brain of Dale Earnhardt. Another reason I think Dale is so impressive is that, yeah, he came from a racing family. Like, his dad was a well-known short track racer in the South, and pretty good. So he came up from that shadow where, you know, most guys who come up in the shadow of their father don't exceed that shadow. In Dale's case, he came up from that shadow and made one so much bigger that a lot of people don't even know that his dad was a well-known guy. Like, it's like oh wow, Dale Earnhardt's dad was well-known too? Like, how about that? Never would have thought. He obliterated that stigma that the kid in the shadow can't pass their dad. And that may have been due to the fact that he lost his dad at a young age. I don't know. I'm sure that would drive a lot of people to do their best. Looking into more of like what the legacy is now that he's not around, I think Dale Jr. is doing a great job of carrying that torch, and through his podcast of having guests on there that dealt with his dad on a regular basis back in those times, and they're able to share stories that otherwise never would have been heard. Like, you know, the whole debacle with DEI and all that stuff is a real shame, but it's Junior really put it on his shoulders to carry that, and I think he's doing a great job, and he's going to continue doing a great job for years to come. And he doesn't have to be the greatest race car driver in the world to create his own legacy either. But there have been tons of offspring of ridiculously famous people at whatever they did who don't do anything noteworthy. And the kind of stuff that Junior's doing for like concussion research and awareness, and his podcast, and just generally the way that he speaks on things in an authentic manner, is just a game changer for someone of that magnitude to be doing. And I think that he's going to set a precedent moving forward for others to do the same. I know there's got to be more that I'm thinking about. I've explained this to people many times when, you know, they ask me what I'm doing or why I do it or why I like Dale Earnhardt, that I always think of something new every time, and I forget to do other things every time too. So what do you like about Dale Earnhardt? How do you frame it in your head to think that somebody could only be in the public spotlight for 20 years and create such a lasting impact like that? That's just unfathomable for me to think about. I mean, yeah, you look at, okay, Jimmy Johnson. He's been in Cup Series for 20 years. He's won 7 Cups just like Dale did. But Jimmy Johnson is not Dale Earnhardt. You want proof that Dale Earnhardt is still positively influencing the world today beyond anything I just said? Well, Look at me. I look up to Dale Earnhardt. I try to learn lessons from him and the stuff that he did while he was alive. And that's something that I think about on a regular basis. The lessons and observations that I gather from Dale's lifetime are interpreted and reapplied and put back into the world through my actions. So the things that I do and positively affect other people may be a second level removed from the things that Dale did. And my hope is that that continues, because the positive ripple effect of the things that we do, we will never know. You don't know. You don't know the things that you do, how they affect other people. That's why we should all be obligated to do our best at whatever we're doing, because we just don't know. Like, do you think Dale was thinking about that when he was around? Probably not. He was just doing the best that he could do when he could do it, and he did it well. Someday, generations from now, 100 years, 150 years, 200, whatever, don't you think it would be cool if people pull up whatever the current form of Ancestry.com is, and they go up and they see your name, and they go tell all their friends, look, I'm related to this guy. Like, that's really cool. Like, I want that. I want people generations down the line to go find me in their family tree and think it's the coolest freaking thing ever. So in a way, I make a lot of my decisions based on how I want to be remembered. Like, what do you want on your headstone? What made Dale Earnhardt Dale Earnhardt? Why don't you tell me?